This is Andy Parole for Boxing News. I'm joined by Eddie Hearn out here in Saudi Arabia. Eddie, firstly, how are you? How was the journey over from New York?
Yeah, it was great. It was a very quick visit. Arrived about 2 hours before the Ray Ford fight and left at 3 o'clock in the morning, but wouldn't have changed it for the world. What a trip, what a moment. And arrived this morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning here. A couple of gym sessions here for the Snooker, the first day of the Snooker here, the World Masters of Snooker, and then head into the opening ceremony, if you want to call it that, or arrivals tonight for the boxing. So busy week for us and buzzing for Ngannou on Friday night.
Come on to all of that very shortly, but let's just go back to this past weekend. Ray Ford, unbelievable turnaround, 7 seconds left, and he pulled it out of the bag.
Yeah, it was a really tough fight. I mean, look, let's be honest, a lot of people didn't fancy the Oleg Komatov fight. I think, my advice to those people who had already achieved a lot in the sport was, why would you fight Oleg Komatov? Even in our conversations with Lee Wood, he's a dangerous fighter, he's unbeaten, he has no name value, if you like, at the moment. But, Ray was straight in, and rightfully so. Listen, it was a vacant world title shot, but a fight that many people fancied Oleg Komatov to win. And it was a rough start. Komatov is very heavy-handed, and Ray just boxed really well, changed his style, really started to walk Komatov down. And just when you thought he might be sort of getting a hold on the fight, Komatov would come back and win a round. And going into the last, I just felt like, oh, hold on. What have we got here, boss? Oh, lovely. Bit of tuna. Sweet as a nut, thank you. Starving.
What are you indulging on there?
No, it was tuna sandwich. I felt that if we won the 12th round, we had a shot on the scorecards, but might be a little bit too late. Thanks. And he hurt him, with 20 seconds to go. I actually thought it was a knockdown, the first one. And when they didn't rule it a knockdown, I was like, because a 10-8 round would have been lovely. And then he stumbled over, turned his back, and the ref jumped in. And it was just unbelievable. 7 seconds to go, behind on 2 scorecards. Just so happy for Ray. Obviously he's our first world champion from pro debut to world championship in America. And his life's about to change, and I'm buzzing for him.
Ray's been matched hard in the build-up to that. How key was that in terms of those tough moments against Komatov to come through them, and kind of a sign for those other young prospects, like either Diego Pacheco's, there is a reason why they could be matched hard and difficult?
Yeah, I think that when you've got ability, you can't be afraid to test yourself. Like, he's got a draw on his record. It was never a draw, by the way. Like, he won the fight by 2-3 rounds, but it was a tough fight. And he fought Eddie Vasquez. That was a tight fight. And you've seen how good Vasquez, he had a tight fight with Cordina. So it was those fights and those opportunities that Ray's had to fight at Madison Square Garden, to fight in Nottingham, to fight at Fight Camp, to fight in Dallas, on these big cards, that gave him the experience needed for that big moment. And when that big moment comes, I said to him in the ring before the fight, and I said to him, I think after the 9th or 10th round, this is your moment, mate. You've got to make it count now, because those moments can pass you by so quickly when you're just not ready for it. And matching fighters the right way to get to world championships is so important. We do it really well, and Ray's a good example. And Diego, as you said, who I believe is a world champion in waiting.
One other thing with Ray Ford before we move forward to move on to Joshua-Ngannou fight week, I've just seen a video after the fight where he said he wants to move up. You've said quickly they'll unify and men do so. I know you've got the 5 versus 5 talk, Nick Ball, Ray Vargas on Friday night coming. What do you think is the likely outcome for him?
We actually had that conversation before the fight. We're sitting there and he's going, I'm definitely moving up after this one. I'm like, mate, we're going to need to win first tonight. He was that confident. It was a really tough weight cut for him. But when you win a world title, a lot of your value is in the fact that you are a world champion. So if we can make it safely and efficiently, I'd still like him to have 1 or 2 more. In the end, he said I could do 1 more if it's quick. So with Nick Ball fighting Ray Vargas on Friday, which is a great fight, if Nick can come through that, we could look at a quick unification on the 5x5. Nick Ball with victory against Vargas, against Ray Ford, what a fight. And that would be definitely something that Ray could hang around at 126 for in June.
Moving forwards, Joshua-Ngannou fight week begins today. Grand arrivals in an hour or so. You said to me previously, Ngannou brings that danger. There's a lot of pressure on AJ heading into this fight though, because he's almost expected to do a job. Granted, Ngannou gave Fury problems, but how do you think AJ needs to approach this fight?
It's a very dangerous fight. I think on paper, we all acknowledge that AJ should be winning this fight. Like, he's the better boxer. He's better. But you see the shape of Francis Ngannou. You know he can punch. You know he's very strong. And I think that the most concerning thing is he has zero fear. You know, you'd think someone that had had one professional fight would shit themselves fighting AJ, but he really doesn't. Like, he has no fear. And he's excited, and he believes he can win the fight by knockout. So he's going to be trying to walk AJ down. He's going to be throwing with AJ. But AJ's looking unbelievable. He's looking so sharp. He's punching so hard. At the same time, how will Ngannou react when he gets hit flush on the chin? Maybe he won't move. But I don't think that's the case for any man. So he's just a normal man that happens to be an absolute unit. It's a dangerous fight, but I believe we're going to come through, and I believe he's going to knock him out.
AJ comes through unscathed, and then you look towards the future. I know Fury Usyk, if that goes ahead, there's a rematch clause. Let's say if there's a rematch, you'll probably, I'd imagine, get AJ one more fight whilst he waits for that to take place. If he produces a similar dominant performance as what he did against Otto Wallin against Ngannou, really people would want to see him against one of the top guys in the heavyweight division, then, i.e. a Joe Parker if he was to beat Zhang, or Zhang if he beat Parker. Would they be the guys then you'd be considering?
No, because we'd just fight Hrgovic for the world title. Like, if he doesn't fight the winner of Fury Usyk next, he'll fight Hrgovic for the world title. But let's also be honest, as many rematch clauses as you want, you know that if AJ knocks out Ngannou and Fury beats Usyk, His Excellency will have the opportunity to make the biggest fight in the sport, one of the biggest fights in the history of the sport, and it'll be very difficult for him not to do it. So we've been told that if we beat Ngannou, we'll get the undisputed shot. If that was prior to the Fury cut, and if we have to fight Hrgovic in the meantime for the IBF world title, no problem as well. Saturday, come through that, and worst case scenario, AJ will be fighting for the world title next. But I believe you could see him straight in for the undisputed.
Eddie, there was obviously some reports as well that AJ could step in to face one of Fury or Usyk if they pull out again ahead of May 18th. Are there any provisional plans in place like there was for the Wilder fight?
No conversations for that, but this is AJ's fourth fight in 11 months. By the way, good example to high-profile fighters to stay active. It makes a big difference. But you never know. You know, AJ's always ready. And if there was enough notice to fight Tyson Fury or Alexander Usyk, you know, the only issue is it wouldn't be for undisputed because one of the belt holders would still have the belts. So I'm sure Usyk and Fury will find their way in the ring on May the 18th and we'll be watching.
AJ and John Fury crossed paths yesterday. Very cordial, surprised by many.
Yeah, I think that it's not that this stuff's not real, but like I think there's a respect in boxing, particularly people, and you know, John Fury's an ex-fighter as well. You know, and I think as well, everybody says things, but everyone shares the same passion for boxing. So yeah, it was almost, and you don't really see these people. I was actually trying to remember if I've even met John Fury. So almost when you come together, it's a bit of, oh, it's you. You know, that bloke who's been slagging me off. How you doing? Rather than, I've heard what you said about me. I don't really think that exists. So sometimes you get it where it does, like a Jack Catterall against Josh Taylor. But yeah, I mean, I'm saying that he might chin me later.
That's what I was about to ask. Do you think that'll happen between yourself and John later on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will almost be like a laugh and a joke, but I might be wrong. We'll find out in a couple of hours.
I'll just make sure I'm around so I can film it, Eddie.
Sure. Yeah. Don't worry, as long as you get views. If I get chinned, no worries. Just you got your couple of 100,000 views or million, it'll be.
I'll keep the viewers happy, Ed. Just want to get your thoughts as well on the news about Dillian White, the Texas Commission, saying that he's able to return to the sport now, pick up and resume his career. What did you make of the outcome there?
Yeah, I wasn't, involved with it. I've just seen one article on Sky Sports. I believe it was the Texas Commission. I don't know the board's position on it, but good for Dillian White to get back in the mix. I haven't spoken to him since we received the results for the Joshua fight. Obviously, he lost out on that fight, and he's lost out on really this, the whole heavyweight mix in Saudi Arabia. So I'm sure he'll be looking to get back in the ring ASAP.
I mean, I know you said you haven't spoken to him yet, but when you do speak to him, is he back in the fray for a potential AJ rematch now?
No. I mean, obviously, AJ, if he beats Ngannou, will just fight for undisputed or fight Filip Hrgovic. But hopefully for Dillian, he can get himself in this mix, because that's really all the heavyweight actions taking place out here. And you've got a lot of obligations now from Saudi Arabia on people that have won fights, rematches. So it's difficult to get in there. But he has a good name, and I'm sure an opportunity will come.
Parker, Zhang, two men you've worked with previously, fantastic fighters. I want to get your take on that.
It's a really, really good fight. I think Joseph Parker's a big favourite in the fight. I really do. I mean, one, he's coming off the confidence of the Deontay Wilder fight. You know, is the Joyce victories flattering? I don't think Joyce is the same fighter, and I think it's a good style for Zhilei Zhang, whereas I don't think Joseph Parker is a good style for Zhilei Zhang. But Zhilei can punch, he's a big lump. I just think Andy will get the game plan right, and I think Joe will be too sharp for him. And I think he'll win, depending on the pace of the fight, I think he'll win on points, but I wouldn't even rule out a late stoppage if it's a fast pace.
We've seen Haney-Garcia over social media post a few things which have maybe left the public a little concerned for him. What have you made of anything he's posted? Is the fighter all in jeopardy with Devin Haney?
Yeah, I mean, I was around him last week. He's definitely not his normal self. You can see he's behaving erratically, but I'm not close to him. You know, the people that are close to him, Golden Boy and his family, will know much better than I do. And Oscar and Bernard and people like that, you know, will want to make sure that, one, he's okay and he's happy, and two, that he's fit to fight on April 20th, because it's a very tough fight, you know, and you need to be 100% physically and mentally. So, you know, I hope that he's okay and can get into camp and compete to the best of his ability. And like I said, the people that are around him know him best and will know what to do in this situation.
If it was to be found that maybe he wasn't right to go ahead for the fight, are there provisions in place for Devin?
No, I mean, you know, Golden Boy could come up with another fight, but I think at the moment everyone's mindset is for the fight to take place on April 20th.
Waiting for news on Conor Benn as well, Eddie. What can you tell us? Anything update yet?
He'll be here this week. We've got negotiations happening this week with a couple of fighters. One will be here and another might be as well. We are talking about a potential fight in Saudi Arabia, but if all goes well with the hearing, the result, because the hearing's taken place, which we expect it to, we'll go straight into a stadium fight in the UK. And you know, Frank Smith is working on the Eubank fight. I've retired from that project, but we'll see. And really just waiting on the results of that to see where he'll fight next.
Do you have a timeline in place when they'll reach out to you with those results?
It's imminent. You know, we've been told any time up to 2 weeks, and I think it's been 2 weeks now, so literally could be any day.
Just final thing, as you mentioned, the snooker here in Saudi. Just had the privilege of watching Ronnie O'Sullivan more.
Yeah, he's a legend, and you know, I think walking around here, it's actually the first time that I've been to Boulevard City. I'm sure you've been here before with the Grand Arrivals. What a place! Like Barbie World, the WWE Centre.
Boulevard World, where the Grand Rivals is on the other side.
Yeah, this is Boulevard City. So, you know, I think just the infrastructure that's being built here is incredible. Difficult when you bring snooker to a place that hasn't really had much history for snooker, but if you look at the live events that His Excellency is bringing to Riyadh season, it is incredible, and you've got all the top players in the world competing here, and this goes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and obviously we've got Knockout Chaos on Friday night, so it's a big week for Matchroom. Most importantly, just need that AJ victory.
Eddie, appreciate it, Tom, as always. Thank you.